In this video, we're going to show you how to create a dashboard using Tableau. We're also going to touch on the difference between global and local filters and how to use the Use As Filter feature. We're going to start off with a dataset very similar to the one we ended with in Lesson 1. You see that our first workbook has student enrollment percentage broken down by ethnicity. Our second workbook is a bar graph showing student count broken down by ethnicity. And our third worksheet is a line graph showing student count by date of birth. Now that we have our three worksheets made, let's create a dashboard. The first step in creating a dashboard is making sure that all of our worksheets have intuitive titles. Next, we'll simply right-click on the bottom of the screen and say New Dashboard. On the Dashboard Creation worksheet, we see that the left menu has the name of our three workbooks. And to start building our dashboard, we simply drag and drop. So I'm going to drag ethnicity table into our dashboard, and we see that it looks pretty much the same as the worksheet. But now let's take our ethnicity bar graph and drag that onto the screen. As I drag the worksheet onto the screen, I see that different parts of the screen are highlighted, and this will determine where I actually drop the worksheet. I'm going to drop when the right of the screen is highlighted, so that my second worksheet shows up to the right of my first. And lastly, we'll drag in our date of birth line graph. Now as we drag in the date of birth line graph, we see that it also added another dashboard element, this filter. We'll get to that in a second. Now with all three of our worksheets onto the screen, we can easily drag to adjust sizes. We can make all the same formatting changes that we do in our worksheets by right-clicking, selecting Format, and using the left menu. We also see that we have a host of other dashboard elements that we can add to the screen. Title, text, an image, or even a web page. In this case, let's add a title. I'm going to drag title onto the top of the screen, and then double-click in, and I will call this Awesome Dashboard. Of course, in reality, you'll want to give it a much more intuitive title. Now that we have our title set, let's take a look at the filters. Right now, if I adjust this date of birth filter, we see that it only affects the date of birth line graph. That's because this filter is local. If we wanted it instead to affect all three worksheets, we can turn this into a global filter. And the way to do that is to navigate to the date of birth line graph worksheet. And on the date of birth filter, we're going to right-click and select Make Global. We can tell it's global because the globe shows up next to the date of birth filter. We can also scroll through our other worksheets and see that the filter is now present as well. Now if we go back to our dashboard, we can adjust the date of birth filter. We can see that it now affects all three worksheets. The final feature we'll discuss is the Use As Filter feature in Tableau. The Use As Filter feature creates an action filter from one worksheet to all the worksheets in a given dashboard. Tableau makes its best guess as to what you want to filter on. To do this, we simply select the triangle on the worksheet that we want to filter for and select Use As Filter. Once this is selected, we can then select a particular value in the worksheet, and we see that it automatically filters that value for the other worksheets. So if I select Hispanic, we can see that the ethnicity bar graph is now a little over 3,000, and our date of birth line graph only shows our Hispanic students. In a future lesson, we'll show you how you can set up manual action filters to allow for more customization in your dashboard. So once again in this video, we've shown you how to create a dashboard, some basic formatting functionality. We've gone through global versus local filters, and we've given you a taste for what action filters can do with the Use As Filter feature. The last thing we want to do is provide an intuitive title for our dashboard. And that'll be it.